Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
In keeping with the theme of rebellion, tonight we go right back to Psalm 2 to pray the rebellious prayer of Psalm 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine vain things? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king up on the hills, upon the holy hills of Zion. I will declare and decree, the Lord had said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the utmost part of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest ye be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. The theme of rebellion continues. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening, right here on your program, The People's Point of View, right here on the Global TV Group. Good evening and welcome. It's quite a warm night rather, in the UK, still around 22 degrees. We're gearing up for some good old proper heat tomorrow again. So bear with us because it's very hot and I feel already confused by the heat. But we've got a mouthful of things to go through and to respond to tonight. So please bear with us. We have a whole heap for tackle tonight. We first will tonight go to the PNP's press conference, but just the question and answer session we'll address Andrew Holness on the Jamaica becoming Dubai, Singapore. We'll address the deportation issue. We have so much to chop change on tonight, and we want to go back on the Fiona issue tonight because we don't want Fiona to think that the lies Fiona came out and tell, in contrast to what Edmund Bartlett and Andrew Holness said, that we the people, especially me from Parity, has forgotten about it. So we'll keep it up tonight with the theme of Fiona. But causing to say, we have so much for chop and change tonight. We're going to go straight over to the PNP's press conference, this question and answer session. Some of you might have today watched the entire thing. I won't go to the presentation made by Mark Golden, Julian Robinson, and Young Cleveland, but I want to tackle issues, particular one girl round there I want to tackle. Gloria Morris, good evening and welcome. Debbie Jervis TV, good evening. Byron, good evening and welcome. Lynette Jenkins, good evening, good evening. Thank you all for joining us. Hold on, good evening, good evening. Audrey Robinson, good evening. Winifred, good evening, good evening. Violet Watson, Marcia Thomas, Randy, Canadian Girl, good evening. Colin, good evening, good evening. Evan Miller, good evening, Marcia Thomas. Jamrock 8766, Laverne, Raymond, Pauline, good evening. Pamela Akola, good evening. Opal, you're early this evening, Wagwan. With just a thought, not thought, buzz it. Now we're going to go straight to the People's National Party press conference. Lynette Allen, good evening and welcome. Charmaine Platt, good evening, good evening. Tropical Nomad TV, good evening and welcome one and all. Thank you for joining us this evening. Like and share the live, please, so we topple the behavior of Mr. Al Gore Rhythm, who is being shadow banning us and all of those things. But to those who are silent watchers and listeners, good evening and welcome. We don't often say that to you all because we mostly generally interact with who we see in the chat. But to you silent listeners, good evening and welcome. Thank you for being a part of the Global Television Group. We're going to go over to the People's National Party because we have bits and pieces to go through tonight, you know, and it's already hot in a Britain. The heat is on. Let's go to the People's National Party question and answer segment of the press conference.
Okay, we'll take questions. Just identify yourself and the media house. Al, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to know. I'd like to know basically in referring to Dr. Wheatley, what was the period in which his earnings were assessed? What was his gross earnings? And you said that it was 167 outstanding, or the illicit enrichment 67 million. Just basically, could you break down basically what year and what period was it? What was the investigation for? And just do the math through that. And secondly, referring to the rental income, the 143 million. Is it a case that he couldn't account for all the revenue or he generated from letting, or was it a case that there was some outstanding because some people, particularly no disrespect, some of the younger people, they owe the money on the rent and they leave and all the rest of it, you can't trace them. You know, I'm just trying to drill down a little bit more on the numbers.
All right, well,
Back at the class, we now no subject. Steve, good evening. Back at the class, journalists. Al, sad that you're a British journalist, isn't it? Quite much so sad. Because that's not how British journalists operate, isn't it? Arlene Phillips. That's our name that we're going to give to her. Al, Arlene Phillips. Back at the class, when on a subject, you make British journalism look quite back at the classish. Because as a journalist, Arlene Phillips, you ought to come knowing what's in the report. You shouldn't have slept last night. The job of a journalist, you see, Monica, how you do, is once a report like that publishes, you stroll over it every word by word, letter by letter, punctuation by punctuation. Ron Wonders, good evening. So for you to come to a press conference, you dull British journalists, for you to come to a press conference, I wonder, are you really trained, or are you just hopping and see the truck pass and hopping on it? More hopping on the donkey cart like it. Because your job as a journalist, you must come geared up. You ought to know what the report suggests. I mean, in a technological era, in a technological era as this, where you can get AI to read the report for you, where you can ask AI to pull out the bits and pieces that is important for you. You come, want Cleveland, Mark Golden, and Julian Robinson to break down the report for you. If it is that they're giving wrong information, Arlene Phillips, how on earth you turning up sounding like a very dull journalist would know if they are accurate or not? It is your job as a journalist to troll over the report and then to ask the necessary question, not ask for them, you back of the class journalists, to inform you on the report, because that's how you sound, my dear. You're asking them to inform you on the report. But I notice you have this behavior from the election debate, the leadership debate. You come out very Labourite-ish, dull and stupid. You ought to take an independent approach. Anyway, let the fool continue embarrasses himself. Julian will answer.
I think you need to read the report, but
Precisely so, darling. Precisely so. The darling should have read the report. She shouldn't have slept last night. That is what journalists does. Make sure once a report like that gets published, you go through it with a fine tooth comb, expecting, my dear, that there will be a press conference today. And when you get to the press conference, it is your job to ask relevant questions, not ask to be informed on the details of the report. You look like you're dunce when you come to number like me, Arlene Phillips.
let me say, on the second issue,
Yes.
he reported 143 million in rental income.
Aaron, oh,
He
you
was
my
then
family
asked to
plan.
substantiate it, meaning tell us the name of the tenant, receipts, etc. His initial response
one
was
list.
he's not providing the information because that is protected under the Data Protection Act. The Integrity Commission said, no, it is not protected. He subsequently provided some information, but could not substantiate the entire 143 million, which he had indicated came from rental income. I mean, I'll ask Cleveland to go through some of the details, but I mean, the report is fairly extensive, you know, outlining the period under review that it examined his statutory deductions, and this certainly, its own investigation would have commenced in 2021. So it's been a 5-year-old investigation, which Dr. Wheatley would have had multiple opportunities. And again, it's important, look at the chronology where they outline when they send an invitation for him to come in with your counsel, etc., etc. They provide that in detail. So there is due process in the Integrity Commission's own process. But I'll allow Cleveland to...
Before Cleveland
responds,
They're done.
it's important to understand the nature of the offense of illicit enrichment. You declare assets of a certain value. The question is, well, how did you acquire those assets? If your declared income, lawful income, doesn't support those assets, it can't explain how you acquired those assets, the obligation is then on you to show how you acquired them lawfully. And he has obviously failed to do so, which is why he's being recommended to be charged for that offense. So initially, he had said rental income was one of the explanations. He couldn't adequately substantiate that, and so on. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty of when it all happened and the detailed items, the thing to do is to really look at the report, which is quite extensive. And it's publicly available.
Just before Cleveland drills down, just before you drill down, one of the things I would...
Arlene Phillips. Arlene was spoiled with Gabardine. You know, shame. Golden and Julian keep emphasizing, go and read the comment. No, when the press conference done and them walk away in private, them are going to say, somebody can't fucking done so. Somebody can't done so in a public in a 2026. It's a press conference, darling. It's not a lecture. It's not a seminar, rather, because you really don't get the chance in lectures to ask questions. You really don't get the chance, Al. You should know that, Annie Bennett, to ask questions in a lecture. You're just there when it comes to a lecture to listen. This is not a workshop or a seminar. It is a press conference, you idiots. Every time you pluck up, you make yourself look stupid, unlearned, untrained. It's not their job to educate you or inform you as to what is in the report. Dunce journalists. It looked like him upon somebody payroll, Jamrock, because him always turn up with a dunce behavior and it's irritating. And then he go talking a British accent to make it what British journalists don't behave like that, oh. Monica Taylor, oh, you know. British journalists are quite astute in their job. You idiot. Even those who Rupert Murdoch bought and sold, they would do a much better job than you.
I'd like to ask you all is, we're in an era now, and particularly as far as Jamaica is concerned, looking into governance issues and so forth. Are you not a little bit perturbed by the fact that other entities are not coming to the fore yet and looking at this and questioning and asking the questions that you're asking?
Yes, but it's in the same technological era. You as a journalist came to the press conference unaware of what's in the report.
I name in particular the churches, PSOJ, JCC, all of them. There's been nothing mentioned. It's just been an echo chamber.
Let me say, the report was tabled yesterday at 4 o'clock. So, I mean, I don't want to be critical of entities at this point in time. We're less than 24 hours, but I certainly...
We're in the digital age now.
I know, but I saw on
21st
social
century.
media, all I would say, I saw on social media, the executive director for JFJ calling for his removal from the cabinet. And I think I heard a news radio clip of the executive director of NIA indicating that these were very serious allegations. So I wouldn't say nobody has said anything, but we're less than 24 hours after the report has been tabled. So I'm hoping that, well-minded Jamaicans who believe in democracy, who believe in accountability and transparency, will add their voices to this very serious issue.
I will add something that I think should be highlighted, which acted in the favor of Dr. Wheatley throughout the investigation. When the Integrity Commission asked him to produce a schedule of his expenditure over the period of assets, the period that was used in determining illicit enrichment was from 2013 to 2022, to answer your question more directly, Al. When the Integrity Commission asked him to produce a schedule of his expenditure to help to determine whether he had assets and whether he expended funds that could not be determined by his lawful income, he indicated to the Integrity Commission that he was unable to accurately recall his expenditure. Notwithstanding that response, the Integrity Commission was able to utilize his bank statements that would reveal some expenditure made. But what you should realize is that it is very probable and very likely that there was expenditure made that was not reported or captured through bank statements. So which means that the expenditure figure that the Integrity Commission used in its formula could be very much less or lower than the actual expenditure figure. And the Integrity Commission outlined that, which acted in the favor of Dr. Andrew Wheatley.
Good afternoon.
Jamila, you have a question?
Jamila from TVJ. The investigation took...
I think Jamila Maitland asks very good questions when she goes to press conference.
...several years to complete. Do you believe that agencies, for example, like the TAJ, we see the gaps outlined, for example, when companies are earning and they're filing nil tax returns? Do you believe that, does your opposition believe that the TAJ doesn't have the capacity to investigate or to raise an alarm initially, so we don't see a report, for example, taking something like this 5 years later?
Lynette
and
Allen,
more specifically,
Francis,
it came out in the Prime Minister's case as well. And two, the contents of the report are very concerning, as you mentioned before. I asked a few press conferences ago, has any opposition member of parliament indicated to the opposition leader that they are being investigated for illicit enrichment? And if I could just squeeze in one more.
Well, let me just answer those two, otherwise I might forget. The first one concerning tax investigations. Everybody who earns income is supposed to file a return. Many people don't file returns, especially if they don't have any source of income other than their salary and the taxes withheld by their employer in the PAYE system. Furthermore, you don't know what investigations or audits the tax department is undertaking, because that's not a matter that's made public. So you could find, for example, that there are investigations of persons by the tax authorities which we're just not privy to. So I don't think we can really comment on that. I think one of the things that was said was that Dr. Wheatley hadn't filed personal income tax returns. I don't know for what period, but that again is concerning for somebody who's obviously involved in so many business activities, separate and apart from whatever salary is earning as an MP or as a minister. Your second question is to do with, yes, I have asked our parliamentarians the question as to whether any of them are under investigation for illicit enrichment. The background of that was the fact that the Integrity Commission had said through its representative in Parliament, because they attend the committee meetings for the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, had said that anybody who was under investigation for illicit enrichment would know about it, because they would have been approached by the Integrity Commission to provide information to support the assets that they've declared. And I individually asked each of our MPs and senators that question at a time when the annual reports of the Integrity Commission had shown that at first it was 6 persons who were under investigation for illicit enrichment. Then a subsequent report, that number had increased to 8. Yeah, I'm not even sure what the latest report will show. But the answer was across the board. None of our MPs or senators said to me they are under investigation for illicit enrichment. And they knew I was asking them this question for the reason that I was going to have to respond to the public as to how our situation on our side. Some of them may have had questions asked about their declarations, probably most, because the nature of how the process works with the Integrity Commission when you file is that they will ask you for additional questions for anything that they see that they're not clear on, or that you haven't provided a piece of paper to support, or if there is an error in terms of your number versus what's in the paper. It's a process before they complete their work. So that was neither here nor there. But the question of being under investigation, which is a different department within the Integrity Commission from the one that deals with the normal run-of-the-mill process of reviewing declarations. None of our members, to the best of my knowledge, are under investigation.
And I have one more on TCNs, that's the third country nationals. You know, Dr. Chang at post-cabinet press briefing, he was being asked several questions from journalists, and I think that was a day after the news broke. And, you know, a question was asked about why is it that Jamaica has sought, or Jamaican government rather, has sought to accept this or agree to this arrangement. And the question was asked, no, he said that Jamaica was simply helping out an ally in accepting the request. And the question was raised about what is the country receiving in return? What is the benefit of this all? And I know many Jamaicans are also asking, and he said it wasn't a relevant question because in bilateral agreements, it's not a sort of a quid pro quo situation. I'm asking the opposition, you know, what do you make of this response? And in the years of, you know, diplomacy, is a response, is a request like this unusual? And is an acceptance of the request, you know, seem like the country is being pressured in to accept the TCNs?
Well, it clearly was a relevant question. So for him to have said otherwise was very peculiar. Bilateral agreements typically have obligations on both sides, you know, and there is typically a benefit to be derived from both sides, from whatever that may be. Not always, because it may just be, for example, the donation of aid after a hurricane, which is really a one-way flow of a benefit to a country that's in desperate need. But for something like this, you would have expected that Jamaica would have some benefit from taking all these non-national, non-Jamaicans, processing them here, becoming responsible for them here, taking the risks inherent in having them here, and having to deal with them if they don't leave. So we're exposing ourselves to a significant amount of exposure by taking these people here, and risks. So, you know, one would expect there to be some benefit flowing in the other direction. So I don't think it was an irrelevant question for the media to have asked him. He has not provided any clear response to say what, if any, that benefit is. His position is the US is a good ally. We accept that. They're a long-standing friend of Jamaica. That's true as well. We accept that. They made this request. I don't doubt that they did. Well, put it this way. We know that the Secretary of State had indicated publicly that this was an arrangement that the US was pursuing in a number of countries, you know, and so it's obviously their policy to seek it. In our case, it seems to have been initiated by us. And the question arises, if there's no benefit flowing to Jamaica from this, why were we initiating it? And in fact, the diplomatic note says that the number of 10,000 people was raised in that initial exploratory foray by Minister Marks at the conference in Florida in March. So that number, of course, has been subsequently disputed heavily by Minister Chang, and he's saying, you know, it's 25 at a time every 2 weeks, and then if any of them stay beyond 30 days and that becomes more than 10, the arrangement can be paused. Not that it must be paused, but can be paused and so on. That's what the government is saying now. But at the time when it was first broached, according to the diplomatic note, I haven't seen it, but it's been reported by the Gleaner, that wasn't the arrangement at all. It was a discussion of a much bigger number. And the question that arises, why was Jamaica reaching out for such an arrangement if there's no benefit to us from doing so? So it's a relevant question, and the government hasn't answered it.
Karen?
Karen Martin, Jamaica Gleaner. I'm not sure who wants to take this time. I have two. One about the Minister Wheatley. You have said since yesterday, you, the opposition, have said since yesterday that you're calling for him to resign. How do we escalate that pressure if he does not resign? And is there a timeline for him to resign?
Yeah, well, we have called for him to be removed from the cabinet. You know, he can either resign or he can be dismissed. The Prime Minister has that power right away to do it. And no doubt is considering what to do. We are told close friends and so on, but that's neither here nor there in the scheme of things. What really matters is Jamaica's reputation, our image, internationally and locally, and upholding the rule of law and decency in public life. The Prime Minister has a responsibility to lead in that regard and cannot continue to embrace somebody in his cabinet who has these serious charges pending against him. So I am hoping that others will see the need for the status quo to change. If we want Jamaica to become a stronger society, to attract more investment from sources that are reputable and who we would like to do business with, and so on, we can't allow our state of affairs in government to degenerate in a serious way like this. And to have somebody in the cabinet with these charges over them, that would be a serious blot on our country. And I think would be unprecedented to the best of my knowledge. You know, when in our situation, if we have somebody who's a candidate or something and there's an issue like that and there's a pending charge, they can't run. That's the rule we have. And
Yeah. And I was going to ask, my question is,
Yeah.
how do you escalate it though?
Yes.
If he's not removed, and is there a timeline?
Well, how we escalate it is by reaching out to other organizations in the society with whom we have regular dialogue and saying to them, are you going to take a position on this? Sometimes people are remarkably distracted from public affairs. You know, they operate in their own silos of life. They're focused on business or they're focused on spiritual matters or whatever it is. And it takes a little time for them to digest a situation like this. They're not.
The question put to you, Mark Golden, how does the People's National Party escalate the issue if Wheatley doesn't step aside or Andrew Holness doesn't get rid of Wheatley. An answer to that, Mark Golding, ought to be, we will refuse to sit in Parliament with them, or we will take to the street to highlight the issue. The question is, how do you escalate?
They don't live it and breathe it in a way that somebody who's active in politics does. So it's part of our role is to bring it to the attention of these groups and ask for them to express solidarity with what is a very important principle. And that's what we will be doing.
And is there a timeline?
No, there can't be a timeline. You know, we will continue to agitate for it until we get an outcome which we think is the best for Jamaica.
All right, thank you. I just wanted, yeah.
Yeah, I think something must be highlighted here. If you look at the chronology in the report, it said that on January 29, 2024, meeting conducted with Dr. Andrew Wheatley and his attorney at law was served with an illicit enrichment notice in respect of which he was required to provide an explanation to the commission. So he knew that he was under investigation for illicit enrichment as at January 29, 2024. That was prior to him being added to the cabinet in 2025. Two questions arise from that. Did the Prime Minister know when he was appointing him as Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister in September 2025 that he was under investigation for illicit enrichment? Did he hide that information from the Prime Minister? If he hid that information from the Prime Minister, it's more reason for the Prime Minister to remove him from the cabinet now. If he shared that information with the Prime Minister, why did the Prime Minister appoint him, notwithstanding that knowledge? The Prime Minister has an obligation to not only dismiss him, but to tell the public if he knew that he was under investigation.
Okay, thanks. I have another one on the TCM. And I'm framing my question with against the background of the volatility, for a political situation, because one of the questions that I've heard since the whole issue came to light, of course, broken by my colleagues, is this is similar or has similarities to Dr. Peter Phillips' own quote-unquote secret MOU. How would you respond to people who say, the PNP has gone down this road of secret MOUs before?
The existence of MOUs, bilateral MOUs between countries is not new. They can cover a wide array of subject matter. The ones you're referring to relate to national security. And I think the ones that were entered into back then, when Dr. Phillips was Minister of National Security, related to the sharing of information for persons who were who were suspects for serious criminal activities, and facilitated joint intelligence sharing and so on. So that existed then. It probably still exists now, and it's part of the way in which states protect themselves from organized crime and so on. So, I mean, we're not denying that MOUs relating to security have existed in the past. Yes, they have, and they still exist, I'm fairly sure about. Nothing like this exists, though, where you're taking persons who have no connection with Jamaica and you're receiving them because another country doesn't want to have them. That other country has the right and indeed the power to address the situation in the normal way, which is under the immigration laws and international obligations of the country. In this instance, what is being sought is to bring Jamaica and other countries into the affairs of another country, essentially by saying, please take these people from us and you deal with them. That's unprecedented. We've never had an MOU dealing with that. We've never had an arrangement like that. You may recall that the British government, under the Conservatives, had tried to do something similar, where they were going to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. And that went to the highest court in the United Kingdom, was held to be unlawful. And as I've said already, this third country arrangement is under judicial scrutiny in the US as we speak. And that matter is unresolved. And in fact, to the best of my knowledge, the only ruling of the federal court that exists now is a ruling saying that it's unlawful and that is being appealed. So this is an unprecedented situation, a very peculiar situation. And it's where we find ourselves at the current time. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, okay.
Thank you. There is a question from the Observer for Opposition Leader Golding. They're asking you to comment on the apparent practice of the government to remove ministers after controversy arises, only to sneak them back into government sometime later.
I think
the Observer, Adam Stewart and Natalie Smoother, ought to best put this question to Andrew Holness. Why do you keep going in a zigzag with corruption, which we will get to shortly after this with the Singapore issue, because we're going to take Andrew to task tonight on that.
Each case has to be assessed on its own merits. You know, there are situations where somebody who holds a ministerial position, whether in cabinet or a junior minister, and who may do something which wasn't quite right, and which, because we're trying to set a standard of good behavior and proper governance, cannot just be ignored. On the other hand, the level of violation in that particular instance may not be so egregious as to warrant the permanent exclusion of that person from their career as a public figure. And in that instance, I don't think there should be any permanent barring of somebody. On the other hand, there are some things which are so serious or sufficiently serious that that person really should not be a public figure any longer, should not be responsible for any aspect of the affairs of the nation, should not be representing people in parliament, or should not be certainly part of the government of the country, privy to the state secrets that come to cabinet, and exercising executive authority in a portfolio affecting the lives and interests of the Jamaican people. There's a spectrum that we're talking about. Each case will be somewhere on that spectrum. And I would say that we have to look at it in that way. There have been instances where people have spent some time out of grass, so to speak, not in any governmental position, and have come back and have served well. And you know, we celebrate second chances in appropriate cases. None of us is perfect. On the other hand, we've had many cases under this government where persons who have a portfolio responsibility do something which is egregious, is a subject of very adverse public comment and pressure, and they're brought into the naughty corner at OPM and given a continuing salary to operate within the office of the Prime Minister for a period of time. That's not a practice that we would encourage. We don't think that that serves the purpose of holding people accountable for their wrongdoing.
Okay. Oh, Al again? Okay, go ahead.
I've got quite a few actually, but
Don't say put us come back again with the same dunceness.
I'll bowl a couple right now at you. One, do you think this Wheatley situation will intensify the spotlight on NARA, given that we're now talking about governance compliance and so forth, one? And secondly, do you think the arrangement with third parties coming in, do you think that could lead to a case of imported crime at a time when crime numbers are going down? One can recall the situation back in the 80s where the US, we saw a surge in crime, particularly in the Miami area when people came in there. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me say, I mean, we don't necessarily know the nature of the individuals who are coming here.
Precisely.
Right. So that possibility exists. And neither do we know when they get here whether they will have the opportunity to be employed gainfully. I think the government had said their living expenses are going to be covered by, I believe, some UN-related body. IMO or something like that. But we don't know how long they're going to be here. And obviously, people who get moved from where they are in the US here, it is a risk. It is a risk. We don't know. It's right now it's open-ended because it could be people who are involved in criminal activity. It could be people who have just overstayed their time. We don't know at this stage.
But isn't it a case that these people coming in, no offense intended, but would be seen as undesirables coming into Jamaica?
I think the challenge you're going to have is that Jamaicans are going to be looking on, particularly those Jamaicans in the western part of the country who are still living under blue roofs, those Jamaicans who are still living in cars. There are Jamaicans who live in difficult circumstances, and then they're going to wonder when they see persons being brought here, being probably housed in conditions that may be better than them. But there's also the issue of what may appear to be a double standard in terms of how persons are being treated, who, for example, Haiti is a very volatile country, crime is high, people run the risk of being killed there. There are people who jump on boats and come here and they're sent back the following day. Why are they treated that way? We our neighbor Cuba, we sent home people who were professionals who were providing medical services. So, Jamaicans will look on and say, why are one set of people treated one way, but another set of people are treated differently? And again, I think within the context of a country that has come out of its worst hurricane 7 months later, with so many people displaced, legitimately people will wonder why we are taking these people, and as has been asked before, what benefit the country gets from it, and we can't get an answer on that.
Thank you. We have an online question.
Oh, whether it will have, Sean, I'm not sure. We continue, the opposition leader has nominated somebody. Our concerns were really not addressed by the government in terms of any amendments to the legislation. We will continue to hold the government accountable. NARA is a powerful body with oversight over billions of dollars, and we will continue to hold the government accountable.
I would say that just this morning, I received a strong complaint from a leading businessman in the country about the new policy relating to cement imports into Jamaica, where cement import licenses have been granted to various players, including a large quota for a non-Jamaican company. And it was not through any transparent process. That was his complaint, that he wasn't aware that there was any opportunity to apply. This hearing, and he's in a relevant business that would have had an interest if it was open to persons to apply to be allocated a quota. Nothing like that happened. And he said, if this is how NARA is going to operate, dog nyam with supper. So already I think the private sector are concerned about aspects of the same type of issues, not identical issues, but the same broad issues that we were raising around the lack of accountability and transparency that's inherent in the NARA structure. NARA has a flawed governance structure, deeply flawed, and we remain very strongly opposed to its current structure. And we hope others will, even late in the day, join on the call for it to be amended. Having said that, it is reality, it exists, and it's going to have a huge impact on Jamaica's economy and economic fortunes in years to come. And that is why I appointed someone to the JAMROC, which is this ad hoc committee established. It has no legal status. It's not even clear to me how it's going to receive information from NARA, because NARA has secrecy provisions in it which prevent the sharing of information unless the law specifically allows it to be shared. And because JAMROC is a non-legal construct, there's no law authorizing it to be shared with them. So that immediately creates an issue, which I don't know how they'll resolve that. But that's a rule that that's the oversight mechanism that the government has put in place. And I appointed someone who is a experienced and well-qualified civil engineer to represent the opposition on the Jamrock Committee, with a mandate to operate with as much transparency and ensure accountability as rigorously as possible.
Okay, we have an online question from Siobhan at Nationwide. Can you unmute, please, and go ahead?
No, tell him he must come to our press conference.
And the opposition leader has requested that you actually be present the next time around physically.
Next time, don't send a request at 11 o'clock in the night. But Mr. Golding, a quick question. I had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Wheatley's lawyer yesterday, Abe Dabdoob, and he suggested that he intends to call for the intervention of the DPP in this matter and for a full forensic audit of the Integrity Commission's report. I want your reaction to that. And do you, under those circumstances, have any concern about the way that report and the information contained it was carried out by the Integrity Commission? And further, on the matter of the TCN, I just want a clear position from the opposition as to, would you support such an agreement between the United States and Jamaica, or are you against it? I just want a clear position from the opposition on that matter.
In terms of the report of the Integrity Commission, there's nothing in it that I have seen that suggests anything other than temperance, patience, but thoroughness in how they approached that investigation. It was going on for many years. Dr. Wheatley was given many opportunities to substantiate the issues which he failed to substantiate. Mr. Dabdoob is his lawyer, and it's his job to represent him as best he can. I don't, that doesn't mean a lot to me as a lawyer. I expect that is what I mean. But the facts are what the facts are. The investigation is complete. Certain findings have been made. Dr. Wheatley has been recommended for prosecution. The charges are serious, and he must step down. If proceedings are brought or initiatives started which result in a change to that situation, then the situation may warrant further adjustment. But as it stands now, and as it will stand for a while, I'm fairly confident he should not be in the cabinet of the country. On the, what was the other thing? TCN? All I can say is I'm very uncomfortable with the idea of entering into an arrangement like this, where the legal aspects of it are unsettled. And I would have personally would have been inclined to certainly await the ruling of the Supreme Court.
In answering this question, Mark Golden is not stating a claim that we wouldn't have done this. What he's rather saying, we would want to do it legally and acceptable rather than it's been enforced upon us. That is what I'm getting. Meaning for me is, if we were in power and the US applies pressure on us, we would have likely to have done the same thing.
On it before going any further. It is a fact that the US are a close ally of ours and have been very helpful to us in many ways, including after Hurricane Melissa. And if they have a serious problem and they're asking for our assistance, I wouldn't likely ignore that or reject that. But I would be very concerned about the risks that Jamaica is assuming from doing it. And some of those have been discussed already today. The possibility of persons coming here that the screening doesn't actually completely thoroughly cover whatever risks they may present to the Jamaican public and so on. So, I don't want to definitively say, because I don't know when a government is dealing with a situation, they are privy to information that we, opposition, simply don't know. The public doesn't know either. And, I'm mindful of that. But I would say that certainly while the legalities of the situation remain unclear, I would have been reluctant to commit Jamaica to that. And I have serious misgivings about the legality of it, given how other jurisdictions where this matter has been addressed at the highest level judicially have found it not to be something which is lawful. So alone gives me reason to be cautious in how to proceed.
Just one more, if you'll allow me, in relation to Dr. Wheatley. Under the circumstances, you called for him to step away from the cabinet, but under the nature of the allegations against him and the fact that this will be going most likely to court, do you believe that it impairs his ability as a member of parliament as well?
It's a very different situation. A member of parliament has been elected, and unless the constitution is violated by the person having a criminal offense of a certain categorization, the person remains eligible to be in parliament. So I don't think there's a legal basis for saying that Dr. Wheatley should resign as MP because of the fact that he's facing these criminal charges. On the other hand, the voters who voted for him may not have been aware that this investigation was hanging over him. And many of them may feel uncomfortable being represented by somebody who is facing those criminal charges. So he has a decision to make on that. We don't have recall in our constitution, and I think this perhaps reinforces the need for recall provisions, which is something that I have been advocating for and should be part of the constitutional reform arrangements, so that citizens who have reason to want to change their mind about who represents them have an opportunity to do so without having to wait for the end of the current 5-year electoral cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
Just going back to the numbers again.
Me now go bumbo clot entertain you. Arlene Phillips, me now go really entertain you because me have a lot more things to focus on tonight. No, I want to go now straight to wholeness on Jamaica's economic growth, because I want to address the Prime Minister tonight on that issue before we get to other things. Let's remind ourselves at what Wholeness said at the Chamber of Commerce award thingy last week.
You need to hear the voice of the business community to not just advocate for your position, but to have a conversation with your employees and your customers, to speak generally so that the entire Jamaica can understand where we are today. It is totally different from the 70s. Where we are today, Jamaica could become Dubai or Singapore, where if our economy grows, we might have to bring people in to keep the economy turning over. Yes, and can you imagine that Jamaica has reached that stage? It is how Cayman has grown, Antigua is growing, all of these other countries that have taken our labor to build their industries. We mustn't see ourselves as closed, insulated, xenophobic, isolated. We have to see ourselves as a country where people want to come and live, and we must embrace them. Get the crime down, get the efficiency up, clean up the streets, start the reinvestment. You won't have a hand to sell Jamaica. Look, the model of development and growth for many years has been how many visitors can we have in tourism? That model needs to shift. It has to be how many people can we get to come and live in Jamaica? So it's not just the one-off 5-day tourism dollar that gets circulated out of the country. We want people to come here and live and spend and hire and create and do business. By the way, that's Vision 2030.
I mean, we could embrace Cuba. We could embrace Haiti. But let's speak of Singapore, Prime Minister, which you allude to. And there are two particular groups that I really dislike when it comes to speaking to the Jamaican people. And it's politicians and entertainers. And vloggers seem to be going into that direction as well, where they speak in gibberish and gimmicks, Ladybug, all you do. They speak in gimmicks and gibberish to the people to get their attention or to caress people's ego in order to get what they want. The Prime Minister spoke of Singapore. Singapore Prime Minister. Bear in mind, we'll bring a video on that shortly, but a system like Singapore, which is serious about development, as we have seen over the last 60 years. But if it is, Prime Minister, that we want to go in that direction, then we cannot, with the system that we have at present. We have to create, Prime Minister, an independent anti-corruption system and agency with strong investigative powers. This is something that your government is working hard, could argue, working overtime to destroy in our country, which is something that allows Singapore to grow to what it has become. Zero tolerance policy, Prime Minister, and investigation of senior officials, which is another thing that you and your government doesn't welcome, because you remember the other day in Bruce Golden's interview, Bruce Golden told us that you don't like accountability. You and your whole galangin don't like accountability. A broader part of corruption, Prime Minister, in our society is carried out within the public sector. Those are the people who assisted the corruption all the way up to government. And that corruption is also caused by the peanut salary that these people get. So rather than the 300 corruptly increase at the top, with the middle section not being catered to, like our nurses, teachers, doctors, policemen, firemen, garbage collector, and all sorts, which facilitates the corruption. Let's look at the police and the left and right issue, the constant extortion of the Jamaica people, Prime Minister. If we are to create a system to get ahead like Singapore, or to grow our economy like Singapore, Prime Minister, all of those would have to be catered to. The system of governance that we have in our country, Prime Minister, does not facilitate growth, because corruption, nobody wants to invest in a swelter of corruption. Nobody wants to invest in over saturated bureaucracy. So this is the gibberish that helps you to win election after election. Constantly passing tough anti-corruption law, Prime Minister, rather than trying to break them apart, diminish them, make them look irrelevant, make them look personal, or like you and Andrew Wheatley with illicit enrichment, or go on like the Integrity Commission, a target and all of the other. Build a culture of integrity and leadership, Prime Minister, something that is so fucking far from you, because you spend your whole political career as a leader presiding over corruption and scandal. You spend the whole of that time also trying to diminish, belittle, challenge anti-corruption agencies in this country. Look at what you have done to the Financial Investigative Division, Prime Minister. Look at what you're trying to do with the Integrity Commission. Let us go to this video and show the Prime Minister why Singapore got to where Singapore. We'll play a few clips, then come back to the Prime Minister. But Prime Minister, stop talking over gibberish in our country. What we need, is action that will make our country move forward. You, more than most, Prime Minister, and Your Holiness, you have held our country back. You have presided over a litany of corruption that anybody would have run fast from. Philly Willie Shana Onodo. So stop it. Stop the whopper gibberish. Now, this is a video on Singapore and how Singapore really clean up corruption, clamp down corruption, and make Singapore become attractive to investors.
They say life was simple back then.
Stop there! Get lost! Get lost! Go away!
Hey guys. Yet, things were not what they seemed.
Oh, let's go. Hey.
Trust could be bought. It was every man for himself. To survive, we had to keep quiet. There was nothing we could do but hope for change.
Prevention of Corruption Act was passed today. While direct.
Just remember, Andrew, on a bullshit talking grow country, on a bullshit talking build strong economy, on a bullshit talking build strong leadership system. Enough of the bullshit. Me tired of this man and the bullshit. So you know, say Jamaica people lap up bullshit and just throw it at we so.
Mainly at corruption in the public services. It is applicable also to corruption by private agents, trustees, and others.
Times were tough, but we pushed on. There were small victories, but change took time.
It is not possible to enforce high standards of integrity in the civil service if the political leadership tolerates any corrupt behavior amongst its own ranks. All those who hold office must abide by strict standards and conduct.
No one was above the law. Don't worry, do it never easy.
No one, Andrew Holness, no one is above the law. And when thieving Andrew Wheatley came out yesterday and tell us that the Integrity Commission is defaming him, when you came out a couple of years ago, you yourself and Norman Brown attacking the Integrity Commission, taking the Integrity Commission to court, how are we going to build a strong and independent anti-corruption system with strong political leadership and the wholeness, something that you are an enemy to? How then can we grow our economy? How can Jamaica become attractive? You piece of national bullshit.
Uncle, you gave me extra 20 cents.
But we have to keep fighting.
The Constitutional Amendment Bill also enables the Director of CDIB to deal direct, President, on complaints of corruption against the Minister, should the Prime Minister withhold his consent for CDIB to mount about investigations.
To look beyond falsehoods and stay true to what we believe in.
I don't get it. Something's missing.
Because it becomes how they see the world. The work is thankless, but strength comes from adversity. Even if it means turning in our own. It's about having a conviction in what you do. And keeping faith that the truth will be found.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Hi, I'm Judy from CPIB. We are here to search the place and to bring in Mr. Tok and you. Mr. Tok, please come with us.
Working hard to leave corruption in the past. Taking nothing for granted.
What is our secret to keep Singapore clean? There's a Chinese proverb, 上梁不正,下梁歪. It means if the top beam is askew, the bottom beam supporting it will be crooked. It is most important that Singapore remain a place where no one is above scrutiny. We started with strong political leadership, a leadership determined to eradicate corruption, and we have maintained this ever since.
What we stand for will become the lives that they lead.
Mr. Lee Kuan Yew knew right from the start that Singapore's survival and progress.
It starts, Andrew Holness, with strong political leadership. Something that I'm convinced, and all Jamaicans are becoming aware of that, something that you are very, very far from. It starts with strong political leadership, something Andrew Holness can never do based on what we have seen over the last 10 years. Creating independent anti-corruption agencies with strong investigative powers, something that you is working overtime to destroy. We see you've taken the Integrity Commission to court. We've seen you put your friend at the head of the Financial Investigative Division. Enforcing a zero-tolerance policy where you, Prime Minister, should have resigned from 2022, where you shouldn't have brought back Wheatley or Montague or Dalrymple Filbert in the government, possible Flight Green. They're back and they're making an awful mess of things. Increase public sector salary. Those who help politicians to facilitate corruption. Those who help politicians to facilitate corruption. Those who pay cook the books for UNO. Those who cook the books for UNO. Those who steal from the people for UNO. Those who help with the kickbacks and under the table. Because you have not remunerated them well. You have them for however long now discuss public sector wages. while you all give yourself 300% rise. Pass laws and wholeness to strengthen anti-corruption in our country, not break them down. Build a culture of integrity that is exemplary and unquestionable, Prime Minister. Can you do that? And then you sit down with your fuckery and come talk about Jamaica could become the next Singapore. Under what system? Under the current system we operate? Under the corruption you preside over? Man, move up. Let's go to Anthony Scaramucci. Let's go to Anthony Scaramucci on the issue of Singapore, Jamaica, and all that jazz.
The best books I've read about political philosophy, statesmanship, is From Third World to First by Lee Kuan Yew.
And I want to say a big thank you to my private producer. I do have a private producer who sometimes produces my show, for producing tonight's show. Thank you very much. Especially the second half of this show. Thank you very much for producing the second half of tonight's show. Really appreciate it. Yes, may have a private producer and we'll never know.
The best books I've read about political philosophy, statesmanship, is From Third World to First by Lee Kuan Yew. Now, who was Lee Kuan Yew? He was the celebrated founder of Singapore. And so to really understand Singapore, which now has probably the highest per capita income in the world, and it's one of the most successful cities / city-states in global history. And Mr. Lee Kuan Yew took over that island with his government from the British in 1962. So he inherited a swamp, no natural resources, no army, racial tensions, and a population that was poor and barely literate. And in a single generation, he turned it into one of the richest, safest, most efficient places in the world. And I will say this to you, really wish that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had a bigger footprint to operate off of other than that small island. That's how consequential of a statesman he actually was. Henry Kissinger said probably the best leader of his time was Lee Kuan Yew. And this memoir is a scintillating playbook about how he did it. It's very open. There's trade-offs between discipline and order. There's some things that he plucked from the West. There's some authoritarianism that he plucked from the East. He makes his...
Let me ask you something. When I hit the like button, you know me not bring gimmicks, you know me bring knowledge, not gimmicks. When I hit the like button, don't make me start on tonight. Oh.
Case without apology. And the core insight of this book, which I absolutely love, foreign capital follows trust. And that's something the United States has always had. We've had this very predictable legal system. And of course, Lee Kuan...
Look at our legal system, Prime Minister. There's a huge trust issue in our legal system. You think investors are go quick to throw their money and industry in a swamp of corruption and crime? Crime that report after report shows say politicians and criminals are in bed together. Is this guy crazy or what? Is Andrew... I know all the way are done, you know, Andrew. A lot of us are done. But you should know by now, saying all the way around here are done.
The best books I've read about political philosophy, statesmanship, is From Third World to First by Lee Kuan Yew. Now, who was Lee Kuan Yew? He was the celebrated founder of Singapore. And so to really understand Singapore, which now has probably the highest per capita income in the world, and it's one of the most successful cities / city-states in global history. And Mr. Lee Kuan Yew took over that island with his government from the British in 1962. So he inherited a swamp, no natural resources, no army, racial tensions, and a population that was poor and barely literate. And in a single generation, he turned it into one of the richest, safest, most efficient places in the world. And I will say this to you, really wish that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had a bigger footprint to operate off of other than that small island. That's how consequential of a statesman he actually was. Henry Kissinger said probably the best leader of his time was Lee Kuan Yew. And this memoir is a scintillating playbook about how he did it. It's very open. There's trade-offs between discipline and order. There's some things that he plucked from the West. There's some authoritarianism that he plucked from the East. He makes his case without apology. And the core insight of this book, which I absolutely love, foreign capital follows trust. And that's something the United States has always had. We've had this very predictable legal system. And of course, Lee Kuan Yew modeled his legal system the same way the US did off of British common law. And so we're talking about a world-class English speaking group of people, pristine streets, low crime, billions of dollars have flowed there. And I'll finish it with this thought. If you went to the February of 1962, these two places, these two islands are roughly in the same climate, but they're on opposite sides of the world, Jamaica and Singapore. And they both started with about 2,000 US dollars of per capita. I'm adjusting for 2019 dollars. Jamaica's at about 9 or 10,000 per capita today. Singapore's close to 65,000. So this is about political executive management and political leadership. And again, everybody who thinks they know about how nations actually grow rich may not know what they think they know without reading this field manual. So the title of the book, again, is From Third World to First by Lee Kuan Yew. One of the best books.
From third world to first world. Singapore uses the Jamaica model and get to where they are today with strong leadership, with very strong leadership. Leadership that Jamaica has not had since Michael Manley. Leadership Jamaica has not had since Michael Manley. And for Andrew Holness to be talking about Singapore on the system of governance that we operate, the litany of corruption that this prime minister presides over, is an insult. Really an insult. Let's go to one more video on Singapore before we go to the third party deplorables. Hold on, the audio, it tells me, has jumped out. Let me redo this. I'll get it back in studio quickly. Oh, quickly. That's Scaramucci. No, I want the other one. Bear with. Let me get it back in studio. Bear with. Right, it should be now.
Singapore went from slums to one of the richest countries on earth, all within just 60 years. But how did Singapore get so rich? When Singapore became independent in 1965, everyone thought it was doomed. No natural resources, no farmland. Unemployment was high and crime was rising. But Singapore did have one thing: strong leadership. Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew made one bold move. If we don't have resources, we'll create value through people. So the government invested heavily in education, trained workers in technical skills, and built a culture of serious discipline. They cracked down on corruption, passed strict laws, and turned the country into one of the cleanest and safest business hubs in all of Asia. Then came the real game changer. Singapore opened its doors to foreign investment. Companies from the US, Europe, and Japan poured in, building factories, financial centers, and tech hubs. And thanks to its perfect location, Singapore built one of the busiest ports on the planet, becoming a global powerhouse for trade, finance, and technology.
And the book that Anthony Scaramucci spoke about, From Third World to First World, you can research that book. You can use AI to pull excerpts from that book. Dola AI is a very good free AI to use that can enlighten your darkness, especially if you're dark as Andrew Holness and his followers. Now, let us go to the international crisis that our country finds itself in with the United States takeover of our country and our government surrender because of their criminality, their doggishness, their licky-lickiness. Yes, that's Trump, Anthony Scaramucci. Our government has, I mean, literally are down on their knees. What this is, diplomatically, it's not a memorandum of understanding. It's rather a memorandum of threats or a memorandum of orders given. Because of our leaders' corruption, criminality, and the likes of it, our leaders have no strength or backbone to stick two fingers up to Donald Trump, like we see, what is country where refused Donald Trump flight them in a last year? How do my name again? It's not, I'm on Mexico. What is Mexico? I know El Salvador, neither. El Salvador hitch on to the deal with Donald Trump. But there's a South American country Colombia. Colombia has turned away a lot of these US deportation flights. There are leaders in this world who have backbone, even though what's him call him, that Nigerian pig, Tinubu pulled out of this thing, you see. And everybody is with it because it's a clear violation of international law, of domestic law. Trump, though, let me state on record that Obama is known as the deporter in chief. The truth be told, Obama deported more people than Trump has. The difference is Obama did it legally and diplomatically. In the plethora of deportation that we saw Obama carried out under his tenure is more than what Trump did. But what Obama did was, one, followed the law, and one, done it very diplomatically. Like when he came to Jamaica to threaten Portia on Goat Island, as well as threaten Portia to take home more deportees. Donald Trump wouldn't do it so nicely. He would just, as we see Donald Trump, everything for Donald Trump is a shit show, like literally just like that. But we're now learning that RJ Marks with the hope a dot on our face is the one, because the Americans are throw them out, you know. And this is how diplomatic pressure work. Diplomatic pressure work based mainly on threats and insults. Karen Nemard, how are you? Threats and insults is how diplomatic pressure works. And we see the Americans are throwing them out one by one. Audrey Marks would be having this discussion probably from she was an ambassador. She would have stepped it up last year at the security conference. But Audrey Marks probably would be having this conversation from the time she was an ambassador. No, where Sisse, it's all going pear-shaped and out over the place now. Mark, what Horace Chang is arguing, Marco Rubio is saying something quite much different. And Marco Rubio, Marco Rubio and the Mac, I don't want you to come on my platform with any propaganda. The last time you were here, you cussed me off over the same Trump thing and left my platform. Is the first time you come back. Don't come back here with any propaganda. Only people who cannot listen or only people who have warped views, me not go explain myself to none of you. You understand? So I don't want you to come here with no propaganda. Marco Rubio told us straight out, and this is what I like about Trump regime. I'm a person that does not go for diplomatic niceties. Diplomatic niceties is what a lot of people like Andy Mack are fooled by. They prefer when you talk to them nicely and lie to them rather than be honest with them. The issue for me with Obama and with Trump or with any other American president as opposed to Donald Trump, a lot of people, it is, as the saying say, it is easier to fool some people than to convince them that they are being fooled. Obama was worse on deportation. Obama had the diplomatic training and niceties that covered that all up. Donald Trump, on the other hand, with his blasé and belligerent behavior, you would have thought he's worse than Donald Trump with deportation, but quite not so. It's because Donald Trump is blasé and belligerent with his. And this is the propaganda where people like Andy Mack push when I said I support Trump honesty rather than people like Barack Obama who pull the wool over people's eyes. Me not they here for help to understand my views anyway. But what Marco Rubio says, Horace Chang is denying that. Marco Rubio is telling us we want to get rid of our deplorables. Horace Chang is telling us, Horace Chang is telling us that we're not accepting any criminals, which Marco Rubio is telling us blatantly. Those are the people we're trying to get out of our country. Now, if it is that those are the people Marco Rubio and Donald Trump is trying to get out of their country, should we be accepting them? Should we be lying to the people about who we're bringing in when we're importing risk on our people? Let's listen to Marco Rubio speaking last April.
Searching for other countries to take people from third countries. So we are active, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your countries. Will you do that as a favor to us? And the further away from America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected.
The difference with Trump and Obama when it comes to immigration and deportation, Obama was doing it legally. Obama was following the law. removing more people than Trump breaking the law but not getting it done, and in turn have to turn around bullying countries like Jamaica, where we leader them get so caught up in a crime that they have to bend over and accept anything that Donald Trump threw at them.
Elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country. We are actively searching for other countries to take people from third countries. So we are actively, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your countries. Will you do that as a favor to us? And the further away from America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country. We are actively...
I would rather want to hear that from Marco Rubio and Donald Trump rather than to pull a wool over our eye that that is not the case, which Horace Chang is doing. That's what I support about Donald Trump. Brutal honesty, that I can make an informed decision as opposed to pulling a wool over my eyes and make me think different and give you the support that you don't need. I'm going to break here to create contention. Auntie Dana, morning, evening, and before the end, I ain't gone now, so I can't say morning. Look this way, over here, so yeah, so we are, hey. I asked a question the other night. Was Donegal duly acknowledged, or were they using Donegal to sell tickets? I'm going to ask follow-up questions on that tonight. TVs, I did midnight, you reach down a Mobile Dana, because when you reach down the TV sign off, you know. On Monday, Donegal, when the Governor General came there with a blunder telling us the work that Mary C. Cole did in World War I, which I have to turn around and correct. The TV stations were there carrying it live. On Tuesday, when the Prime Minister turns up with the falsification of history, that Jamaica is the first Black democracy in the world, which I, again, have to correct and let the Prime Minister know that democracy is an African concept born out of Kenya and Ethiopia 5,000 years ago. That Haiti in the West was the first Black democracy. The TV were running. And when you reach the Wednesday Auntie Dana, TV sign off, current gone. Midnight, TV sign off by midnight with the open stripe. What was that all about? Were you not worthy? Well, for me, it was just a ticket selling event. It was just a ticket selling event. But Jamaica, we need to press gear on this issue. I do believe the opposition ought to mobilize the people and take the people to the street on this issue. Whereas we've been forced by the very same Marco Rubio to send home our Cuban nurses and doctors, which will leave a lot of Jamaican blind or pay expensively for surgery that they would have otherwise have at an affordable price or for free. We have been forced to send home these qualified people, and we are accepting child rapists, murderers, all sorts of heinous criminals to clean up the American system and we have become a dumping ground, Andrew Holness. And in the same breath, Andrew Holness is talking about develop Jamaica into Dubai or Singapore on the corrupt lack of governance, lack of leadership, lack of independent oversight and anti-corruption. Are you sick? You bloody thief. Andrew Wheatley ought to resign. We shouldn't, Andrew Holness, if you're a leader with integrity, but then look how me turn fucking fool you now. If you're a leader with integrity, you yourself shouldn't have been there. But then again, is there anybody in the Labour Party suitable to really, might as well only bring back Bruce Golding. Might as well only bring back Bruce Golding, because as I've always said, barring the Tivoli massacre, Bruce Golding would have been the best JLP Prime Minister our country have seen. See it now, everything crash. Everything crash. We're left to the mercy of Andrew Holness talking gibberish and fuckery, and we will never see anything actualized in our country. Because if Andrew Holness' job is to pull down our country, he can't lift it up with his mouth. Your mouth doesn't lift up a country, Prime Minister. It's your deeds and your action. So you have to first be a very strong leader, a leader with integrity, Prime Minister, an honest leader. You can never go back to that. Because even if you, the leopard, change your spot, none of we now going to believe you. You bring back Dalwyn Peroni, the potato thief. You bring back Bobby Montague, the used car dealer thief. You entrench Pernell Charles Pickinironi, the land thief. Darrell Vaz, the drug dealing and murderer and rapist. The Labour Party is a criminal organization, Prime Minister. Do you think a criminal organization can develop a country's economy? Unless we're going to increase, but then again, Horace Chang, we carry 200 gun in a container, and all of them pick me up. What them people that want to care from the US. The Horace Chang now go put gun in their hand and turn them out the road they pan with. Horace Chang is going to give them asylum rights, while Horace Chang I tell we say it's just transition. Like it's a flight in transit. Are you crazy? No, we know that there's a lot of labor right dunce out there, and anything Andrew say, then just think say go suffer too. Remember, there's many of us out here, Prime Minister, who are educated enough to call out your bullshit. Enough of it, Andrew Holness. Enough of the gibberish. Of course, a broad sway of us are gullible. A broad sway of us, Prime Minister, like our ego being caressed. We can't continue like this as a country, Jamaica. We have to stand up for something. We have to prepare to die for something. Otherwise, we just pack and go on to hell in a handcart, because it's getting worse every day. Especially with a government who everything of this government is done surreptitiously, by the back door, very underhand. The country will improve improve economically or otherwise under the regime that Andrew Holness presides over. Scandal, corruption, stealing, tax evasion, gangsterism, illegal gun importation, stealing from the public purse. I mean, you have presided over that for 10 years. As to why the Jamaica people see it fit, or saw it fit rather, to give you another term, to know, bringing in murderers, thieves, and rapists, the deplorables that America is trying to get rid of. And at this, in the same breath, you're talking about importing workers when the Jamaica young people is untrained and unemployed. Should you not cater to us first? Oh, but no. We are still lying in the squalor of Hurricane Melissa, while the American deplorables will be coming in to get housing that your government has just voted down in Parliament. You chat too much, Wayne. Go on your bed now. Good God Almighty. Anyway, never mind the charity money. Will you take and buy bands and all of them something the Andrew Holness? And you are talking about Dubai, and not even left out Dubai. Let's talk about Singapore, where Jamaica and Singapore come from there in 1962. Jamaica and Singapore has been coming from there in 1962, and oh, have we fall by the wayside, haven't we, Prime Minister? Especially under your tenure, especially when the Jamaica Labour Party in power in our country, Prime Minister, from Buster to Andrew, it's a total destruction. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight on the Global TV Group. Lovely to have your support, as usual. Please do join us back tomorrow morning. Transition to Jamaica gangsterism, Monica. That's the only transition is going to happen with these people where Andrew Holness and Chang are bringing power. Transition to Jamaica gangsterism, where when Horace Chang next container gun come, Horace Chang is going to put gun in their hand and set them loose pan in our country. Jamaica, una prepare for war? Because a new breed of criminal is coming. A new lawless and fearless breed of criminal is coming. Are you prepared to war? Are you prepared to die for your children? Are you prepared to die for your children is the question. Anyway, almost 1 o'clock in Britain now, 4 minutes to 1. Sun at tomorrow. And we want to do one program tomorrow morning and go warm sun out the road and go get vitamin E and get some tan for our skin. So you not go keep me out here tonight. You understand? Thank you all for being here, though. If you have not yet hit the like button, please do so YouTube can send the program out there in the after broadcast. Thank you very much for your support and for being here with us tonight. To the silent listeners, to everyone in the comment, thank you and good night from Global TV.
Too long in our little ghetto, run keep going on less process. For children of Israel do really love rights. So just a and I as a watching man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Day or night, we gotta bust down Babylon walls. Prepare the way, prepare the way for your people. Let's go. Fight down war and crime, fight down. Me say Rastafari, war and crime, and do the righteousness. And we love Jah, and we love Jah, and we love Jah, Rastafari, and we love Jah. We love Jah, we love Jah, Rastafari. way again. Listen. Yeah. So just as I and I say, watch your man, I run Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel. I should never hold thy peace, but we penalize. Hey, oh, night. We gonna bust down Babylon gates. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for Rastafari. Fight down war and fight. Fight down war and fight. Rastafari, war and crime. And build up righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Rastafari. Preserve all. And we love Jah. Me love Jah. Me love Jah. Rastafari. Preserve all. Me love Jah. Rastafari. Yeah, the next song is going to be the last song for tonight. And then DJ Twink.
Corruption is a vile disease.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation. Because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with us. Rastaman throw one stone and it pick a bad feeling to awaken men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone and it bring a bad feeling to awaken men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear not hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rub and cheat and not press the poor. Make up what I seen to. Make him a throw and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a block. Make him a throw and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, did they them can sell out Rasta and sell it out, I sell out Babylon. They give man show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, they can sell out Rasta and sell out, I sell out Babylon. Just stop on the right. Give a show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man, show and stone and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big him and show one stone and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show us good, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show us good, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.